Okay, well, hello everyone. Hello everyone on the chat. Welcome to the Virtual Zen Summit 2020. This is a big experiment. I really hope to be able to see all of you guys in person in Bucharest, but obviously that's not what was going to happen this year. So particularly as we're switching to the virtual summit, I think it is useful to go over a few things. So first of all, thank you very much to our sponsors, ARM, Citrix, Starlab, Vates, and Apertus. This kind of event really in general can't be held without our sponsors, and so we really appreciate the extra work that they do. So I think particularly with, as I said, with the going virtual this year, I think in a lot of ways the social interactions or how we do a conference is we're going to have to be basically experimenting. This is all a big social experiment. We're all making this up as we go along. So we're going to try a couple different things. So to begin with, a virtual tour of the rooms, you've got a link to a web page that has all of the rooms on it. So this is big blue button server. All the plenary sessions are going to be in this room, the Bucharest room. Congratulations for finding it. The breakout talks are going to be Keeming High Park and Chamisku Gardens. I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. Design sessions going to be in Palace of Parliament, Palatul Primaveri, Mănăxen, and Romanian Athenaeum. We've got a hallway track, which has been imaginatively named Hallway Track. And we've got a number of just open meeting rooms that you can just grab and use for whatever purpose whenever you want. And of course, the list is here in the link at the bottom, and it should have been in the email that you received as an attendee. So a couple different things. So generally speaking, when you're attending a talk, the camera should be off. I'm anticipating that one of the challenges that we're going to see here is giving feedback to the speaker. So normally when you're giving a talk, you can see people's reaction. You can see whether they're paying attention. You can see whether they look confused or bored or whatever, and adjust your style of talking appropriately. So obviously it's going to be much more difficult in this kind of environment. But there are a couple of features that we can use. So the big blue button, if you click on your own name, you'll see that it has an option to set status. And there's a number of different statuses there. You can look confused, you can look sad, you can look happy, you can applaud, thumbs up, thumbs down, and so on. So I really do encourage you to experiment with trying to give feedback to the speaker. So this, when you change your own status, there's a little thing at the top that says emoji changed. You're the only one who sees that. So the speaker doesn't see that, but I can see everyone else here clapping, thumbs up, and happy stuff. So hopefully that will be an encouragement to the speakers as we go along. And of course, clapping at the end of a talk, you can use the clapping emoji. But also, I think, use the public chat here to say, great talk, thanks for the talk, that kind of stuff, just to give positive feedback for the speaker all of our speakers who put so much work into preparing the talks. The hand raise option is not actually very visible here as a speaker. So my proposal here is that if you, and again, we're experimenting with this, we'll have to see how it goes, is that if you have a question, you should turn on your video, and then wait for the speaker to call on you. And then, as normal in any conference, ideally you would say your name and your affiliation or company you're from, and then ask your question. And of course, should you ask questions at the beginning or should you ask questions at the end? That really depends on the speaker. So as with any conference, if you're a speaker, then you're in charge of that space for that half hour. So if you want to, you should tell people when to ask questions, ideally. So if you want people to interrupt you when they have a question, just say, ask me a question anytime. If you want people to wait to the end, then say, prefer you to save the questions to the end. And if someone turns on the video and asks a question, you shouldn't feel bad about saying, I'm going to cover that later, or do you mind if we save that question to the end? And of course, if you can't, for some reason, turn on your video, then there is the public chat, but it's not, it might be difficult for the speaker to be able to see that, just so you know that. Okay, that's the talks. Go forward. Design sessions. So one of the really big things that historically has been quite useful for the Zen project is the design sessions. There's lots of just things that we need to talk about, architectural decisions, community decisions, and so on. And so we have a website where anybody can suggest a topic. Let me just give you a quick run through. So everyone ideally that wants to interact with the design sessions should register. I have changed it now so that you need a validation code to register, and the validation code is right there. So Virtual Panda 2020. So let me just share the screen real quick. Right. So the idea is anyone who wants to can propose a session. You put in your title and your session description, and then what happens is everyone else can express an interest in that session. So they can say, you know, I'm very interested, I'm on, yes, somewhat interested, a little interested, and none. And then the design session scheduler will attempt to place the sessions in such a way that everyone can attend as many sessions as they want to, but obviously favoring things that people really want to go to versus people only want to go to a little bit. So we have a number of different sessions. You can, of course, change the time zone that the sessions are displayed in. And when we run the sessions, what will happen is we'll run the scheduler, and then before the sessions each day, the last break before the sessions happen each day, we will lock the sessions for that day. So if the thing here says tentative, that means those things will probably be those design sessions will probably be rescheduled the next time the scheduler is run. If it says final, and I think there should be a green button, then that means those are fixed and they won't change, and you can count on it being scheduled in that slot. I think that's the main thing from that one. So yes, and also if you're a speaker, sorry, if you propose a slot, or if there's a slot you really want to go to, but you can only attend in a certain time frame, we can restrict the sessions to be scheduled in specific windows. So for instance, if the early slots on the early design session slots are on Wednesday and Thursday are just too early for you, you can ask us to restrict the slot to happening on Monday or Tuesday, where the design sessions are a bit later. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. So effective use. Again, you can. My advice is to turn on your camera if you're actively involved in the discussion. Hopefully, that will make it easier to sort of communicate, read facial expressions, and so on. Generally speaking, try to make sure there's no more than 20 cameras on at a time. This is just a limitation of the platform that we're on. It should be kind of okay, but you know, if you limit to the video, so when you're actively kind of engaged in an active discussion, then that should be fine. There is a shared whiteboard. So if you are the presenter for the site, if you're the running the session, on the right hand side there's a little button you can click that will turn on the multi-user whiteboard, and that will allow people to draw triangles and things like that, just if you need that kind of a thing for your discussion. There's also a shared notes area that everyone can type in. You can see that up on the left here. If you were the session leader, make sure to nominate someone else to take notes. It's very difficult to take notes on the session and actually be leading the session and the discussion at the same time. So nominate someone to take notes. And then please afterwards take the notes and try and summarize the discussion and send an email to ZenDevel. Now the shared notes theoretically should be saved as part of the system, but it's probably a good idea just to, at the end of the session, copy it, paste it somewhere else, just to make sure that we have it. Okay, so the next big thing that's really important for Zen Summits historically is the socialization. The chance for the developers to kind of see each other face to face and develop the relationships that kind of smooth over the rough spots when we're having a technical discussion. And also the chance for just to meet people you've never met before, to discuss things of all kinds, official or not. So we have a number of, again, this is all a social experiment now. So we have a number of things that were opportunities for socialization that we're going to try. And I encourage everyone to sort of experiment with them and see how things work. So the first thing is the hallway track Big Blue Button room. So between the sessions, during the breaks, go get yourself a coffee and take a break, whatever you need to sort of keep yourself energized. But then one opportunity to socialize is to come to these hallway track rooms. So you could just have audio, you can turn on the video. You can arrange from there to go and have smaller discussions if there's too many people there, for instance. And we'll just see how that goes. There's also an IRC channel on Freenode. And an advantage of learning how to use Freenode and IRC. So if you're not familiar with IRC, it's very much like Slack. If you use Slack, Slack is basically a copy of IRC. And this is actually the way that a number of the full-time developers interact with kind of on a daily basis. So one advantage of getting familiar with IRC is that then you can go on there and ask questions. And if you're doing development, stuff like that, you can get real-time answers and have chats and stuff like that with the core community there. Another recommendation is that so I see many of you have done this already. So if you could make your name in the Big Blue Button sessions, if you could put your name and then in brackets of some sort, put your IRC nick. So my IRC nick is GWD. So then we can connect between the people that we're seeing in the Big Blue Button sessions with the people on IRC. The final thing is meeting rooms. So I think, let me just, I don't know about that. So yeah, we have 10 different meeting rooms that are just open. So if you want to have a particular contact with, if you want to have a particular contact with one person or a group of people, or if you want to talk about some specific topic, or something like that, then just grab one of the meeting rooms, just show up in it. If there's someone else there and they want to discuss things, then just go and discuss with them. Otherwise, you can just find another room that should be empty. There shouldn't be a big deal with that. So the last thing is socialization events. So Big Blue Button has a functionality. Big Blue Button is designed for teaching. And one of the things that teachers often want to do is to be able to say, okay, break up into groups of 2 or 3 and answer this question, right? And come back in 5 minutes. So one thing we're going to experiment with is for a socialization event is to use this breakout room functionality. And the idea is anyone who wants to participate in this would join that Big Blue Button session. And then we would randomly assign you into breakout groups and make enough breakout groups that there would be 5 to 6 people, maybe 6 to 8 people in each group. That'd be big enough that you could kind of have a chat and learn about people. Everyone can talk, but small enough that everyone can, learn about each other, but big enough you can have an interesting conversation. And I think early on we'll have some conversation started, but perhaps some very specific questions to answer. And we'll be organizing this and announcing this on probably the IRC channel, and perhaps in the interest of other breaks. So make sure and keep an eye out for those. And maybe later in the conference, after we've kind of warmed up a bit, figured out how things go on, then we'll have socialization events like this without that. I also sort of expect that there might be virtual pub sessions after the scheduled talks for the day. So that's same thing. The rooms are going to be open, so just organize that on IRC. I look forward to seeing some of you there. Okay, that's all I have for the introduction. Is there any questions on that?